Ashley Mead came into the world on November 14, 1991, in the small town of Warren, Pennsylvania. She was raised in a large family with many siblings around her. From a young age, Ashley developed a strong passion for everything creative. She loved singing, writing poetry, and expressing herself through fashion. She was also deeply connected to nature and always dreamed of traveling the world. Throughout the years, she managed to visit nearly every state in the United States, along with trips to Canada and Mexico. After completing high school, Ashley relocated to New York to pursue liberal arts. Later, she transferred to Louisiana State University in Shreveport. It was there that she met a man named Adam, and the two began a relationship. For several years, Ashley stayed dedicated to her education until her life suddenly took a tragic and life-altering turn. She was involved in a serious car crash, which resulted in a long and challenging recovery. Although she eventually succeeded in returning to her regular life, she was faced with a new obstacle: medical expenses. The debt that accumulated during her treatment became overwhelming, leaving her with no alternative but to withdraw from school and begin working full-time. Around that period, her relationship with Adam began to crumble. Eventually, the two made the decision to separate, but soon after, Ashley discovered she was pregnant. Despite all the hardships she had endured over the past few years, she was filled with happiness and eagerly anticipated becoming a mother. She also hoped her child would grow up with both parents in her life, so she and Adam agreed to co-parent their daughter. By then, Adam had relocated to Boulder, Colorado, to study culinary arts and pursue his dream of becoming a chef, and Ashley chose to move there as well. Ashley and Adam secured an apartment in a modest residential complex, and before long, their daughter, Winter Daisy, was born. Even though they had decided not to rekindle their relationship, they were both entirely committed to their little girl, sharing the duties of raising her and giving her all their love. A few months following Winter's birth, Ashley began working as a teaching assistant at a preschool. Later, she became part of an organization that supported children from low-income families in preparing for school. The work was demanding, but Ashley had a natural connection with children. They adored her right from the beginning. This continued until February 2017. By then, Ashley was 25 years old, raising her one-year-old daughter while working with kids. But on February 13th, she failed to show up for her shift. Her coworkers found this unusual. They tried calling and texting her, but she never replied. The next day, when she again missed work, one of her colleagues decided to reach out to the police. She requested that they check on Ashley and her daughter to make sure they were safe. The local police department sent officers to her apartment complex. Once they arrived, they immediately noticed a few unusual details. The outdoor lights near the entrance were still on, despite it being the middle of the day. The front door was unlocked, so the officers went inside. But there was no sign of Ashley, her daughter, or Adam. As they searched, more concerning details emerged. Ashley's belongings, including her phone, driver's license, and purse, were still inside, but her car was missing from the parking lot, which didn't add up. Then, in the kitchen, they discovered something even more disturbing. A half-prepared meal was left in the oven, as though someone had started cooking dinner but, for some reason, had never finished and never returned. All of this appeared highly suspicious, so the police contacted Ashley's parents. Her mother told them she had not heard from Ashley in several days and had no idea where she could be. She also remarked that it was strange Ashley had left her cat behind, something she never did. According to her mother, Ashley always brought the cat along whenever she traveled, no matter where she went. Desperate for answers, her mother began contacting family and friends, hoping that someone had spoken with Ashley. But no one had heard from her in days. Meanwhile, the police attempted to call Adam, but he did not answer, and when investigators tried tracking his phone, they uncovered another troubling discovery. It had been switched off. As for Ashley's phone, the police handed it over to specialists, who quickly identified several crucial clues. The data showed the last time Ashley had used her phone was on February 12th, 2 days before her coworker reported her missing. It had been her day off, which she spent running errands with her daughter. She went to a few stores, bought a new dress, and took some photos before returning home. After speaking with Ashley's neighbors, detectives managed to piece together additional details about that evening. One neighbor remembered seeing her taking out the trash at around 6 p.m. Then, sometime before 9 p.m., another neighbor reported hearing a loud, heavy thud coming from Ashley's apartment. She described it as sounding like someone falling down the stairs. After that, everything went silent, and she heard nothing else. This detail stood out to investigators, particularly because Ashley's phone activity had ended at around 9 p.m. That made them suspect something bad had happened to her at that exact moment. Soon after, they received another lead. Data from her phone revealed that shortly before her disappearance, Ashley had begun dating a man named Harvey. Detectives reviewed their messages and found something suspicious in his texts, which was enough reason for police to want to question him in person. When officers went to Harvey's house, he allowed them to search without a warrant. He insisted he had no knowledge of Ashley's whereabouts and claimed he had not spoken to her in days. According to him, on the night she vanished, he had been spending time with friends, and his alibi was verified. They all confirmed his story. Harvey even permitted the police to examine his phone, and the data supported his statements. For the moment, he did not appear to be involved. With Harvey eliminated as a suspect, detectives continued their search for new leads. Since there was still no trace of Ashley, they chose to shift their approach by reaching out to Adam's relatives in hopes of finding him. That was when they finally uncovered a breakthrough. When investigators contacted Adam's parents in Louisiana, they revealed something surprising. Adam had shown up at their house just one day earlier, on February 13th. According to his parents, Adam had arrived with his daughter, but Ashley was not with them. They were completely shocked by his sudden visit, especially since he had not told anyone he was coming. That alone seemed unusual, considering the drive from Colorado to Louisiana was nearly 1,000 miles. But Adam offered a simple explanation. He said he had been planning the trip for some time so that his daughter could spend time with her relatives. Despite the surprise, his family was happy to see them. Adam stayed overnight, and the following day, he left for Arkansas to visit his grandmother. Detectives asked his relatives to contact him and tell him to call the police immediately, as they needed to know where Ashley was. At first, Adam ignored their calls, but eventually, he turned his phone back on and spoke with the detectives. Adam claimed he had no idea where Ashley was and said he had been trying to reach her all along, but she never responded to his calls or texts. According to his version of events, on the evening of February 12th, they had a serious argument that escalated into a physical altercation. He admitted to hitting her. After that, he decided to leave the house for a while to avoid worsening the situation, taking Winter with him. He also confessed to taking Ashley's car, explaining that he did not own one himself. At that point in the conversation, Adam revealed that he had already left Louisiana and was driving through Oklahoma. Detectives were deeply unsettled by his story. The more they considered it, the more they suspected he had directly played a role in Ashley's disappearance. But since he was in another state, they could not immediately bring him in for questioning. Then they noticed a critical detail. Adam's name was not on Winter's birth certificate. Legally, this meant he had no right to take her out of state without Ashley's consent. Detectives used this fact to their advantage. They contacted Oklahoma police and requested that he be detained. A few hours later, patrol officers spotted Ashley's car on the road. Adam was taken into custody, and thankfully, Winter was found safe with him. While detectives prepared for his interrogation, forensic experts examined the car, and what they discovered was extremely alarming. Beneath one of the back seats, they found traces of blood. A DNA test confirmed that the blood belonged to Ashley. For the first time, investigators had physical evidence indicating that Ashley might no longer be alive. But they still had no idea what had truly happened to her. That was about to change, however, because another clue was close at hand. Shortly after speaking with Adam's parents, detectives received an unexpected call from his younger sister. She explained that she had not been able to see Adam and Winter on the day they arrived. Instead, she stopped by their parents' house the next morning. By that time, her parents had already left for work, and Adam was supposed to be preparing for his trip to another state. But the moment she walked in, his reaction startled her. He appeared genuinely shocked to see her. He looked extremely anxious, and something about his demeanor seemed strange. Then she noticed something peculiar. Cleaning supplies were scattered everywhere, and it looked as though Adam had been scrubbing the guest bedroom. When she asked him what was going on, he gave her an odd explanation. He claimed he had suddenly fallen ill and vomited on the floor, so he was cleaning it up before leaving. She offered to assist, but Adam immediately declined. Instead, he hurried her out of the house. Detectives acted quickly. They traveled to Louisiana and began searching the house with a team of forensic experts. What they uncovered was horrifying. In the guest bedroom where Adam's sister had seen him cleaning, investigators found multiple blood traces. But that was not all. In the backyard shed, they discovered an electric saw and a barbecue lid, both covered in blood. When the evidence was analyzed at the lab, the results confirmed what detectives already feared. The blood belonged to Ashley. At this stage, it was clear she had not simply disappeared. Something terrible had happened to her, though many questions remained. If Adam had killed her in Colorado, why would he transport her body over 1,000 miles away? And what had he done with it after leaving his parents' house? As detectives prepared to confront Adam with these questions, the case took another shocking turn. On the same day, February 15th, police in a small Oklahoma town contacted them with disturbing news. That morning, a gas station employee had gone outside to take out the trash when she noticed a suitcase near the dumpster. It appeared brand new, which struck her as unusual. Why would anyone throw it away? Curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to check inside. But the moment she unzipped it, she instantly regretted her decision. Inside were human remains. When police officers arrived, they confirmed the suitcase contained a human torso. The remains were sent for DNA testing, but initially, investigators had no way of identifying the victim. Soon after, however, news spread about Ashley's disappearance. Oklahoma detectives connected the dots and reached out to the team working her case. They shared the DNA sample from the torso, and it was a match. Investigators requested surveillance footage from the gas station, specifically cameras facing the dumpster. What they found was exactly what they had expected: footage of Ashley's car pulling up. Adam was seen stepping out, carrying the same suitcase, and placing it beside the dumpster before driving away. With this evidence, detectives were finally able to assemble a chilling timeline of Ashley's likely fate. Based on everything, they believed Adam had killed her on the night of February 12th while they were at home. Afterward, he devised a plan. Visiting his relatives would provide the perfect cover to dispose of her remains across multiple states, making it more difficult for police to track. Since Ashley's blood had been discovered inside his parents' house, detectives suspected Adam had brought her body there. Once his parents left for work, he used their electric saw to dismember her remains. Then he set out on the road, discarding pieces of her body along the way. This realization made one thing painfully clear. Adam could have stopped at numerous locations along his route, which stretched across hundreds of miles. That made the search for the rest of Ashley's remains extremely difficult, but detectives refused to give up. They carefully reconstructed Adam's travel route, tracing his journey from his parents' home to the location of his arrest. Their objective was to locate more surveillance footage that might capture him disposing of additional remains. Eventually, they succeeded. CCTV footage from a gas station in the small town of Merleton, Arkansas, showed Adam throwing something into a dumpster. But there was one major problem. By the time investigators located the footage, the dumpster's contents had already been taken to a landfill. Determined to recover whatever he had discarded, police launched a massive search operation. More than 40 individuals were deployed to search the landfill, but despite their efforts, they found nothing. Even though Adam's guilt appeared almost certain, the fact that portions of Ashley's body were still missing created a significant challenge. Without her full body, medical examiners could not determine her precise cause of death. The torso displayed several cuts and abrasions, But these injuries had occurred while she was still alive, likely as she fought back against her attacker that night. As for Adam, he continued to stick to his story. Even when detectives presented all the evidence, he refused to confess. He maintained that he and Ashley had argued, and he had left with their daughter, claiming she had been alive the last time he saw her. But with the overwhelming physical evidence against him, detectives did not require a confession. They arrested Adam and charged him with murder. As prosecutors built their case, they uncovered another incriminating piece of evidence: Adam's personal journal. In it, he had written about wanting to kill Ashley long before it happened. His journal revealed deep resentment, as he believed she was only living with him because of their daughter. In a way, he was not wrong. Ashley truly was staying with him just for winter, but that had been their mutual agreement from the beginning. Still, Adam had wanted more from the relationship, while Ashley did not feel the same. At the same time, he wrote extensively about his love for his daughter and his fear that Ashley might take her away. According to the prosecution, this was Adam's breaking point. They argued he was jealous that Ashley had begun seeing someone new, even though their own relationship had ended nearly 2 years earlier. Above all, he feared she might leave him permanently, taking their daughter with her. This, they said, was what drove him to commit murder. And in a desperate attempt to cover his tracks, Adam tried to make it appear as though Ashley had simply vanished. He even sent her calls and texts after killing her, pretending to be worried, as though he had no idea what had happened to her. Before the trial began, it was revealed that Adam had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and PTSD from his military service. But that changed nothing. He was still found guilty and held accountable for his actions. In April 2018, a jury unanimously convicted him of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison plus an additional 12 years. Adam later attempted to appeal the verdict, but his request was rejected. To this day, he remains behind bars and still refuses to disclose where he disposed of the rest of Ashley's remains. One final detail worth noting. After Adam's arrest, Winter was placed in the care of Child Protective Services, despite both families requesting custody. What happened to her afterward remains unknown, as authorities have kept the information private due to her age. So, the only hope is that she was eventually placed with relatives and not left in the foster care system. If you found this case intriguing, make sure to like and subscribe. We upload new crime case videos every night. Stay tuned and brace yourself for what's coming next.